Hello and congratulations on getting access to this video course on how to set up your very own WordPress membership site. So this is going to be video number 1, and before we jump into the technical aspect of implementation and installing the WordPress plugin and getting everything set up, I want to talk about mindset. There is a specific reason why we have laid out the video course the way it is, and you'll see in just a minute. But basically, the whole goal is to not overwhelm you, because it's actually not overwhelming once you have mapped out everything correctly. Meaning that you have mapped out what is your site going to look like? What are the customers going to see? What kind of levels do they have access to? Everything like that. How are you going to deliver your content? How are you going to drip feed it? So you see, not mapping out your site ahead of time, not figuring out what exactly you want to do, or at least a baseline of what you want to do, is going to confuse you like crazy. And when you begin to implement everything and look at the technical aspect, it just won't make sense, right? So to give you kind of a deeper view of how everything is laid out and why everything is laid out, so that you're able to implement it faster at a much faster rate, very successfully, let me give you a quick overview of what's in this video course. So obviously video number 1 is this particular video. Video number 2 is mapping out your product menu. Now, the reason why you want to do this is you want to get an idea of what the customer sees when they first log in. And then you want to map out your membership site funnel so that you can get a bird's eye view of how many levels there are, how are you going to drip feed it, are you going to release all the content within a week or at one time or within a month? How are you going to go about doing that? So you don't have to worry right now about how you're going to do it, but what you're going to do. Because I will talk about the how from video 5 and on. So at video 4, we're going to discuss different WordPress membership plugins that are available to you. And I'll show you the ones that we have looked at, the ones we have tested, and the ones that we have found to be really user-friendly and makes things look good. Video number 5, we're going to talk about accessing, install it, and customizing it and getting started. Video number 6, we're going to talk about creating a product, creating a membership site level, because that's crucial, and that's kind of the structure or skeleton, if you can think of that way, of your site. Video number 7, we're going to talk about content and file protection, because obviously you want to make sure that you protect your content, your files, from people who have not paid for your product. And that essentially also protects your customers as well. And of course, video number 8, we're going to talk about completion. We're going to do everything that we can to show you how to go from that point of content and file protection to actually setting everything up so that you're good to go. So these videos right here will primarily be screen capture based. You'll be able to follow me step by step on the screen, and these over here, videos 1 through 4, are going to be primarily conceptual, but at the same time, they're the fundamentals and they're things that you have to think about before you move to video 5 to 8. All right, so now that you kind of understand what's ahead and what to expect, now let's go ahead and jump right into video number 2 and talk about mapping out your product menu. Hello and welcome back. This is video number 2, and we're going to talk about mapping out your product menu. And the reason why we want to do this is because we want to make sure that we understand what your customers are going to see. So before we map out your whole membership site, let's take a look at your product. And you'll see in just a minute why we are taking baby steps and we're taking a look at what the people see first before we take a look at the membership site funnel. This is why. You see, it's crucial to have an idea of how your tutorial, your video course, your ebook, your software, your digital product, or whatever you're trying to sell is actually broken down into different modules. So in other words, what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a parent-child hierarchy so that you can keep your membership site organized. So we're taking a look at essentially the inside pages of your actual membership site. So here's what I mean, and it doesn't really have to get any complex at all. So let's say, for example, that you have module 1, module 2, module 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or something. So module 1 would look something like this. So you would have module 1, subtopic 1, subtopic 2, subtopic 3. So if this was a video course, your module 1 could be like intro, and maybe subtopic 1 could be like the getting started. Number 2 could be like different tools that you would need. Number 3 would be something else. Now, that would obviously be easy for something like a tutorial, a video course, or an ebook. But if you're dealing with something like software, and maybe you could have like the welcome video, you could have access to the software, and then maybe module 2, you could have the video training for that specific piece of software. Now, if you had coaching, if you had consulting, same thing. You would have just breakdown of all of your subtopics. So same with module 2, module 3, and so forth. Now, if you just lay it all out and you have a better idea of how everything is broken down into, then guess what? As far as getting everything set up, your pages and all of that, it's going to be a really, really fast process, right? So that's as simple as that. Just lay it all out, write down module 1. What is module 1? What is subtopic 1? What is subtopic 2 and 3? And if you have an outline, and you can literally create the outline within less than half an hour or an hour. And once you have that, and once you create your whole membership site, all the levels, all the pages, then you can literally go in and just plug and play, plug it in, and then get it up and running, and you're good to go. So literally what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you all the pieces of the puzzle in baby steps so that when you implement everything, it's going to be a lot more faster. All right. So with that said, let's move on to video number 3. Welcome back. This is video number 3, and we are going to map out your membership site funnel. And I will actually show you how we map out membership sites so that you have a better idea on how to use flowchart tools to map yours out as well. Now, before we do that, let's talk about some basics here. So now that you have a breakdown of what your customers will see on the inside, it's time to get a bigger bird's eye view of your whole site in detail. So before we actually go into the technical setup in video 4 through 8, what we need to do is you need to actually get a brainstorm, get a plan in your head of what everything looks like. And this will actually help you implement everything at a faster rate and at actually a more successful rate as well. So the question to you should be, how many levels will you have? 1, 2, 3 to pay levels. Maybe you have a basic level, a silver level, a gold level, or maybe you have 3 different levels. You need to figure that out. Are these levels going to segment people into different scenarios? Maybe one level is access to a video course. Another level is access to a video course and software. Or maybe another level is at a higher level is essentially the video course, software, and maybe coaching. So that's something that you need to figure out. And aside from what you did in video number 2, this allows you to kind of see what kind of front-end offers, upsells, one-time offers you have, and how you can segment people into those different levels or different pages. And if you're able to map things out now, it's actually going to make life a lot easier when you begin to implement everything. Now, since you've done the task in video number 2, or at least now you have an idea about breaking things up and how your customers will get the content or see the content, the question now is, how are you going to deliver the content? And this is what we call drip feeding. So the way you can set it up is you can set up a membership site. Let's say you have a monthly membership site. You can set it up so they get module 1, maybe for the first month, module 2, the second month, via what we call drip feeding. Now, you don't have to do it that way. You can have module 1 on one day, module 2 next week, module 3 the next week. Or you can do something like module 1 the first 2 days, module 2 the second 2 days, and so forth. So really what it comes down to is you can actually specify how you want it to be drip fed. Or will everybody get everything all at once? So that's something that you really need to figure out right now before you actually begin the setup process. And this is a crucial thing to think about, especially if you're trying to set up a monthly recurring membership site where you earn profit every single month. And the reason being is because if you want to do drip feeding, you need to know that ahead of time. And fortunately, the software that we will be using does offer some of these functionalities. And it allows you to kind of become a bridge to connect to PayPal, to connect to Stripe, which is a credit card processing system, and Authorize.net, and other payment processors. So really that's what you need to find in a script is, does it allow you to do what you are trying to do, right? So you may want to use whatever mind mapping program that you want to use, but we are going to use Lucidchart because Lucidchart is a really awesome mind mapping flowchart system, which allows you to kind of break things down, map out what you're trying to set up. And once you have decided on, okay, this is good, we like it, we like how it looks like, we like the flow of the funnel, then you can move on to the next video and begin the setup process and utilizing the script, installing WordPress, and more. But before you do that, make sure that you do everything that you can to plan things out. Now I'm going to switch over to Lucidchart, which is a flowchart system, and we are going to map out a basic monthly membership site. And of course, you can add on to that if you so choose to do so later on. Okay, so as I stated earlier, this process is crucial as part of trying to figure out what your WordPress membership site is going to look like. So I would recommend doing this for this thing. You don't really need to have Lucidchart. You can use other mind mapping softwares if you want to, or you can use a pen and paper and just map it out. I just like to use Lucidchart simply because that it allows me to drag and drop. I just like things digital. So it's really up to you. It doesn't really mean that you have to use this. So we start out with the membership site. You need to figure out, do you have free levels? Do you have paid levels? Maybe in order to get to the paid level, so we'll say this is the paid level, and we can say that this is $37 per month. And maybe there is a free level that people can join, and maybe it only gives access to certain things, maybe access to module 1. And then the pay level gives access to module 2 through 10. And then that's per month. And then of course you can add other things to it as well. Now, notice how I start here. So we start general and then we break it down. So we could say, okay, let's put this down here.